November 20th, 1943. The battle for Tarawa has already begun, but for many Marines, the fight hasn't even reached the beach. It begins in the water. Landing craft approach Betio Island under heavy fire. The plan had been simple: cross the reef, land directly on the beach, and push inland quickly. But the ocean has changed that plan. The tide is lower than expected. The reef stops the advance. Boats grind to a halt hundreds of meters from shore. And suddenly, the only way forward is through the open water. Marines climb over the sides, into waist-deep, then chest-deep water. Weapons held high, packs dragging them down. And ahead, machine gun fire already sweeping the lagoon. There is no cover, only distance. The first men begin moving forward. Step by step, slow, exposed. Japanese defenses open fully. Bunkers, carefully positioned along the beach, unleash overlapping fire. Machine guns cut across the water, creating zones where movement becomes nearly impossible. Mortar rounds fall, sending up columns of spray and fragments. The lagoon becomes a killing ground. Some Marines fall immediately, others keep moving. Because stopping is worse. The distance feels endless. Every step forward is an effort against water, against weight, against fear. Wounded men struggle to stay upright. Some disappear beneath the surface. Others are pulled forward by those beside them. There is no formation now. Only movement, individual, determined, and finally sand. Those who reach the beach collapse behind what little cover exists. A low seawall, scattered debris. Anything that breaks the line of fire, even slightly. But the beach itself is no safer. Fire continues from bunkers just beyond the sand. The defenders have clear lines of sight. Every movement is watched. Every attempt to rise draws immediate attention. Marines press against the seawall, pinned, breathing hard, trying to organize. Officers attempt to regroup units, but units no longer exist in clean lines. Men from different companies, different landing waves, find themselves together, trying to make sense of the chaos. Communication is limited. Leadership becomes local, small, immediate. And still, more Marines are coming. More men cross the reef. More step into the same exposed water. The cost continues to rise, but the number of survivors on the beach grows. And slowly, that begins to matter. Because even under fire, even pinned against the shoreline, something is forming. A foothold, not secure. Not stable, but present. Weapons are brought forward. Machine guns set up where possible. Rifles aimed toward the bunkers. Return fire begins not to win, but to push back, to create moments where movement becomes possible. And in those moments, small advances begin. A few meters forward, a position gained, a bunker approached. The battle shifts from crossing the water to breaking the defenses. But the cost of reaching this point has already been heavy. And the hardest fighting still lies ahead. Once the first Marines reach the narrow strip of sand on Betio, the battle changes, but it does not become easier. The problem is no longer the water. It is what lies ahead. Japanese defenses rise just beyond the beach, layered, reinforced, and designed to stop exactly this kind of assault. Bunkers built from logs, steel, and sand are positioned to cover every approach. Trenches connect strong points, allowing defenders to move without exposing themselves. Every angle is covered. The beachhead is not an entry, it is a trap. Marines pinned behind the seawall face a decision. Stay and remain under constant fire, or move forward into it. They choose to move. Small groups begin to organize where they can. Officers, non-commissioned leaders, and even individual Marines take control of whoever is near them. There is no time to wait for perfect coordination. The battle is already happening. Fire is directed toward known positions. Machine guns on the beach attempt to suppress bunkers ahead, forcing defenders to lower their fire even for a few seconds. Those seconds become opportunities. And in those moments, assault teams move. The distance is short, but it feels endless. Marines rush forward across open sand, diving into shallow depressions, behind debris, or into whatever slight cover exists. Bullets strike around them, kicking up sand, hitting bodies, forcing others to keep moving or fall. Reaching the first line of defenses is only the beginning, because bunkers are not easily destroyed. Rifle fire alone cannot penetrate thick logs and reinforced walls. Grenades are used, thrown toward firing slits and entrances, but accuracy is difficult under fire. Some explosions silence positions briefly. Others do little. The solution becomes clear. Get closer. Close enough to attack directly. Flamethrowers are brought forward heavy, dangerous, and immediately targeted by defenders. The men carrying them move under covering fire, stepping into range where hesitation is not possible. A burst of flame into a bunker opening. Heat, smoke, silence if it works. Demolition charges follow. Explosives placed against structures, detonated to break through where nothing else can. The ground shakes. Walls collapse. Openings are created. And through those openings, the fight continues. Inside the defenses, close, confined. There's no room for distance now. Every bunker cleared reveals another behind it. Every trench taken leads to another section still held. The system of defense forces the attackers to repeat the same actions, again and again. Approach, suppress, assault, clear, move forward, and do it again. The cost remains high. Casualties increase with each attempt. Assault teams lose men quickly, replaced by others who step forward without pause. Medical corpsmen move under fire, treating the wounded where they fall, pulling them back when possible, but often working where they are. Time becomes difficult to measure. Hours pass without clear progress, then suddenly a section breaks and movement opens again. Gains are small, but they accumulate. By midday, the first defensive lines begin to weaken, not collapse, but weaken. Gaps appear where bunkers have been destroyed. Sections of trench are no longer connected. The organized fire that once covered the beach begins to break into isolated points of resistance. And those points are targeted, systematically, because now the Marines understand what they are facing. Not a single line to break, but a network to dismantle. One position at a time. By the end of the first day, the beachhead has expanded, but only slightly. The cost of that expansion is visible everywhere. The sand, the seawall, the approach routes marked by those who did not make it. But the line has been broken. Not completely, but enough. Enough to move forward. And once movement begins, it becomes difficult to stop. Because behind the first defenses lies the rest of Betio, and the fight for it has only just begun. By the second day of fighting, November 21st, 1943, the battle for Betio has moved beyond the shoreline, but it has not become easier. If anything, it has become more intense. The distance between opposing forces has disappeared. Now everything is close. The island itself is small, but it is packed with defenses. Bunkers, trenches, dugouts, and concealed positions form a tight network across the ground. Every structure is placed with purpose. Every path forward is watched. And every step must be fought for. Marines push inland in short, controlled advances. There is no open maneuver, no sweeping movement. The terrain and defenses force everything into a slow, grinding pace. A few meters forward, stop, engage, clear, then move again. The fighting is constant. Gunfire erupts without warning as new positions are uncovered. A bunker that seemed silent suddenly opens fire. A trench thought to be empty becomes active. There are no safe assumptions, only cautious movement and immediate reaction. Units no longer resemble organized formations. They are broken into small groups, sometimes just a handful of men, working together to clear specific positions. Communication between groups is limited. Each one fights its own battle, often unaware of what is happening just a short distance away. And still, they move forward. Flamethrowers and demolition teams continue to lead the assaults. Against reinforced bunkers, these tools are essential. Rifle fire suppresses, grenades disrupt, and then the final approach is made. Close enough to feel the heat. Close enough to hear every movement inside. Then action. A burst of flame. An explosion, a brief silence, and the position is cleared. But never for long, because just beyond it, another awaits. The defenders fight with determination. Even as positions are lost, resistance does not collapse. Isolated groups continue to engage, using the same bunkers and trenches that once formed a coordinated defense. Each strongpoint becomes its own battle. There is no surrender in these moments, only continuation. For the Marines, the cost continues to rise. Casualties from the first day have already reduced many units. Reinforcements arrive, but they enter directly into the same conditions: close fighting, limited cover, constant danger. There is no gradual introduction to the battlefield, only immediate involvement. Medical teams work continuously. Wounded are treated where they fall when evacuation is impossible. Those who can be moved are carried back across ground that is still under fire. The process is slow, difficult, and never complete. And still, the advance continues, because stopping is not an option. Every position left uncleared remains a threat. Every delay allows defenders to regroup, to prepare, to strike again, so the pace is maintained. Slow, relentless. By the afternoon, progress becomes more visible. Sections of the island begin to fall under control. Airfield areas are contested, then partially secured. Defensive lines that once seemed continuous now appear fragmented. But the fighting does not ease. In many ways, it becomes more dangerous. Because as space shrinks, the concentration of resistance increases. The remaining defenders are closer together, more focused, and often positioned in the strongest remaining fortifications. Night approaches, but it does not end the battle. Darkness changes it. Visibility drops. Movement becomes more uncertain. Sounds carry differently. Every noise matters. Small engagements continue, sudden and brief, as both sides adjust to fighting without clear sight. Rest is limited. Sleep comes in moments, if at all, because the expectation of sudden contact never fades. And when morning returns, the battle resumes immediately. No reset, no pause. Just continuation. By the end of the second day, the shape of the fight is clear. The island is being taken, but not quickly. And not without cost. Every yard gained has required effort. Every position cleared has demanded risk. And ahead there is still more to take. By November 22, 1943, the battle for Betio has reached its final stage, but nothing about it becomes easier. The island is smaller now, not in size but in control. The areas still held by Japanese forces have been compressed into tight pockets of resistance. And those pockets are the strongest. What remains are the most fortified positions, the most determined defenders, and the narrowest ground left to fight over. There is no room for maneuver. Every advance leads directly into another defended point. The Marines prepare for the final push. There is no dramatic build-up, no moment of silence before action. Just continuation. Units reorganize as best they can. Reinforcements fill gaps left by earlier losses. Weapons are redistributed. Ammunition is checked. Flamethrowers and demolition charges are brought forward again, because they will be needed. At first light, the advance resumes. The pattern is familiar now: suppress, move, assault, clear, and repeat. The difference is intensity. The remaining defenses are closer together, supporting each other more tightly. Machine gun fire overlaps across shorter distances. Bunkers are positioned to cover the approaches to other bunkers. Breaking one position often exposes the attackers to another immediately. Progress slows, not because of hesitation, but because each step forward requires solving the problem that has no easy answer. Marines move carefully, using everything they have learned over the previous days. Fire is coordinated. Assault teams work in closer cooperation. Mistakes are fewer, but the danger is still the same: unforgiving. Close combat dominates. There is no distance left for anything else. Grenades are thrown into trenches before entry. Rifles fire at point-blank range. Flamethrowers are used against positions that cannot be approached any other way. Explosives tear open bunkers that have already absorbed hours of attack. The fighting is direct, personal, and constant. For the defenders, there is no withdrawal, only resistance. Even isolated, even cut off, they continue to fight from what remains of their positions. Some bunkers are engaged multiple times before they are fully cleared. Some areas must be approached from different directions after initial attempts fail. Nothing is taken easily. Casualties continue. There is no phase of the battle where losses stop. Even in the final hours, men are hit, wounded, or killed while advancing only a few meters. Medical teams move forward again and again, working under the same fire as the assault units. Exhaustion is complete. Bodies are pushed beyond their limits, but the advance does not stop, because it cannot. By the afternoon of November 22nd, the remaining resistance begins to break. Not all at once, not in a single moment, but in pieces. A bunker falls here, a trench line is cleared there, gaps widen. Movement becomes possible across sections that had been locked in combat for hours. And then gradually, the organized defense disappears. What remains are isolated groups, scattered positions that continue to resist, but no longer operate as part of a coordinated system. By November 23rd, the battle is effectively over. Betio is under control. The firing stops not completely, but enough. Enough to mark the end. The island is quiet in a way it has not been for days. But the cost is everywhere. The beach, the reef, the ground across the island, all of it marked by what has happened. The Battle of Tarawa becomes one of the clearest examples of what amphibious assault in the Pacific truly means. Not just landing, but fighting through prepared defenses under the worst possible conditions. It reveals the challenges, the planning required, the cost that must be paid when those challenges are underestimated. And for the Marines who fought there, it becomes something more than a battle. It becomes proof that even under the most difficult conditions, exposed landings, fortified defenses, relentless fire, an objective can still be taken, but never easily, and never without cost.